What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So for this horror news update, we have a few articles that we're going to go over. 3 of them casting updates, and 1 of them, as you see here on the screen. The first one we're going to talk about is the Medium Bloober team's horror video game getting a movie adaptation. Now, we all know how this goes when we try to take video games, regardless if it's horror or not, and put them into live action movies. I wouldn't say 9 times out of 10 it doesn't go well. There have been those few instances where maybe the first movie, maybe right place, right time, worked out. I mean, I think we can easily say, I think the only very successful attempts that have been made that actually, I think, again, right place, right time, was the Resident Evil franchise, the Resident Evil IP. But we already know we're getting another Resident Evil movie that's supposed to be more true to the horror roots of the game. Because in my opinion, I think Resident Evil, the IP, even the first film, product of its time. Well, actually, all those films are products of their time, but more specifically the first film. Because if you try to go back and watch that, it can be a tough watch. And I think, in my opinion, they cherry-picked the video games, used the name, and then soon after the first, second film, it was on its own path, on its own course. Now, we do know we just recently had the film, actually, and I think it's coming to streaming. I think it's already on Netflix, actually, like a week or 2 ago, Until Dawn, which released earlier this year, which, again, was another one of those movies that was being adapted from a video game. And I think that game came out in like 2015, 2016, somewhere around there. But the difference with that one was they were using the name, and the movie was happening within the same universe, but really wasn't going to be an adaptation of the game. So a lot of people didn't like that. And even though there was that big difference between the video game and the movie only had roughly, like, I think the budget was like between $10 and $15 million, and it did pretty well as far as the box office, considering the budget and considering what the film was being based on. I think it made a little over like $50 million, something like that. It wasn't like this big blockbuster, but it made more than the budget. Again, it's already on streaming. I believe it is Netflix. I haven't seen it yet. We did do various horror news update videos on that one, plus the trailer reaction. It looked good. The trailer looked pretty good. I really did like the trailer. I am going to watch it hopefully sometime this weekend and come back and do a movie review on it, because it is on my list of ones to review. But I think, in my opinion, when I look across the landscape of video games that have turned into movies, and again, many people didn't like it, it wouldn't be considered a success. And maybe I'm just partial because I love the video games, and maybe that's how it turns out for a lot of these movies that are adapted from video games. Assassin's Creed, I absolutely love the video games. I think there's only been 1 or 2 of the games, while I still play them, didn't overall enjoy them, but for the most part, every single Assassin's Creed game I've loved. I haven't played the most recent one. I know the one that supposedly happens in like Japan sometime, like the samurai one. I haven't played that at all. But the movie, I love the movie. Now, I was very disappointed that they never did complete that trilogy, but supposedly Netflix is doing an Assassin's Creed TV series. I am looking forward to that. But back to this, though. Let's jump into the article details and see what this is going to be about. The Medium, again, horror video game getting to get a movie adaptation. So, now, while this looks this looks good. Now, if you give me a live action movie showing me something like this, where it doesn't look like it's so overly produced CGI or AI, where you can maybe use some practical effects and make this look, absolutely fire. Seeing a scene like this, I think would look very well in live action. So, Bloober teams, the Medium is the next horror game to make the leap to the big screen, with THR reporting that Gary Dauberman's label, Coin Operated, has picked up the film rights. The Hollywood Reporter details in this afternoon's exclusive report, Gary and Maya, his president at Coin Operator, will produce the adaptation through the banner. A search for a writer and director for the project is underway. So, okay, so just knowing that we are light years away from this movie, whether it's the big screen, a limited run on the big screen, and going digital same day, either way, we are well far away from this ever making it to either one. If you haven't found a writer or a director yet, it's gonna be a minute, because then you have to think casting, complete the script, all that nonsense, locate, screen. I mean, it's just, there's just gonna be a ton of stuff that's gonna have to happen. So I mean, we're already halfway through 2025. I see this being a 2027 film, maybe even 2028. Again, that just depends upon how fast they decide to move. If this is going to be a low budget thing where they decide to use a lot of CGI, a lot of AI stuff, and keep the numbers low, then maybe they can get it done sooner, but it's going to be a minute. First launched in 2021 for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC via Steam. The medium is set in the late 90s and follows Marianne, a psychic investigating the abandoned hotel Nawa in search of answers about her past. It's always about their past. I've said this time and time again. That seems to be like a tentpole for horror films. It's always about somebody's past, and it always happens to be the main character. It just astounds me that we can't get past that particular foundational point in horror films, that it's, this person comes back to the town they grew up in, and now they have to face their past, or they have to face their family's past, or their third cousin's past. Let's find something new to focus on. Exploring the physical world and the spirit world simultaneously, the gameplay mechanic lets players use the interactions between them to solve dual reality puzzles, unlock new paths, and awaken memories of past events. So, I mean, that sounds good. And I haven't played the video game, so I don't have any context as to what the game is about and how this is going to play out from a live action film. But something like that, I mean, imagining you living in, again, dual interactions between two different worlds, and you can just jump from, one to the other, physical and the spirit world. I think that could be pretty good if they can just pull it off right and not make it look like just, again, a bunch of just nonsense CGI where you almost get lost in the fact of you're not paying attention to the story or even the movie anymore, because all you can focus on is the horrible CGI. The spirit world is a dark mirror reflection of our reality, and it has been modeled and designed for inspirations of Polish dystopian surrealist painter. I don't even know how to pronounce that name, so I'm not going to attempt it. For those in need of a refresher, there's the review for the Xbox Series version. Okay, we have a quote here. With its compelling story and incredible cinematic visuals, the medium is a natural for a feature film adaptation. When I talked to Peter about it, we immediately connected on a mutual love of horror and his vision for where the genre is headed. I have no doubt anything Bloober develops is going to push horror forward in unique and terrifying ways, and I'm excited to be working alongside them. I mean, yeah, actually here, this next part talks about most recently scripted Until Dawn video game adaptation, with its credits also including Salem's Lot, The Nun 2, It Chapter 2. I mean, that's a good pedigree. I mean, that's a good history of some horror content. I mean, I know so many people like myself. I mean, I definitely enjoyed The Nun 2, It Chapter 2, Annabelle Creation. I mean, I enjoy all those films. So, and again, I haven't seen Until Dawn. I do plan on watching that soon. I have high hopes for that one after seeing the trailer. I did enjoy the trailer. So, I mean, again, you look at something like this, if you can give me this in live action and make it look nice and clean and a mid to a good story, yeah, sign me up. I'm all for it. But video games and movies don't have a good history. That's what concerns me. Is they'll get too lost in trying to overdo it, and they'll lose the true vision of what they're attempting to provide us as fans. All right, so let's jump to the next one here. Garth Ennis crossed adaptation from the Sadness director finds its cast. So let's jump into this one. I mean, again, imagine this being a comic book. Imagine a scene like that in live action for a horror film. Again, throw some practical effects in there, a little bit of CGI to touch it up. I think that would look absolutely fire. A feature adaptation for one of the most depraved comics ever, Crossed, is on the way from director Rob Jabez, and it's found its cast. Devin Drood and Ash Santos will lead the ensemble cast, THR reports. They'll play Stan and Sydney, the leaders of a group of strangers thrown together as they attempt to escape northward away from the infected known as the Crossed. In this world, those affected by a mysterious disease appear to have a cross on their foreheads and follow their worst impulses. They're the equivalent of zombies, but a lot meaner and psychotic without losing intellect. Okay, so we're saying that they are zombies. They have the rage the rage virus type aspect from like 28 days later, but they're still aware, so to speak. Like they're still self-aware. They still know what's going on. They haven't lost like all concept of reasoning and rationale. So that'd be an interesting new take on some sort of like zombie type film. Here's the rest of the cast. I'm not going to read all the names here, but you can see some of the names here and some of the recent things that they've played in. I'll put the link for this article in the description, so if you want to come back and read off all these names yourself, feel free to do so, but I'm just not going to read off a list of names. We have some more names down here. It says Owen Harn will lead the infected Cross as the villain. Okay, I won't say that word. You can read it for yourself. Along with Fedor Steer as Face and Kelvin, I'm not even sure I pronounced that last name, as Stump. Angie Campbell will play Amy, and Peter Falls is set as Joel. Comic creator Garth Ennis, who also created The Boys and Preacher, both good, penned the script based on the original 10 issues of Jace Burrow's illustrated comic published by Avatar Press between 2008 and 2010. Alright, so I have a quote here. Fans of Cross have speculated on the cast for some time, and in the spirit of helping all Cross fans survive the coming apocalypse, we are pleased to reveal our exceptional cast who are bringing Garth's thrilling and horror-filled comic series to life on the screen. Alright, so that's the end of it. So again, if they can, I feel like something like this, if you don't stay true to the comics when it comes to the graphic and gore aspects, this isn't going to be successful. And I think we're in a window of opportunity for a film like this to be unrated, graphic, and just kind of like gore horror. It can easily follow suit with what Terrifier did as far as Terrifier 3, and it can even follow suit with what's supposedly and hoping to be a success, which is the new Toxic Avenger film, which is also going to be unrated. And we've covered all those trailers, we've covered off on all those first look images. That one's going to be pretty much like gore horror. So I think if you're one of those studios and you have something like this, you have content like this, and you want to put it out there as far as live action, especially if it's adapting from a comic, I think this is your window of opportunity to do it, right? I think a lot of gore horror fans, there are a lot of them, but a lot of them also want to see that type of content up on the big screen and not in a limited capacity. I mean, Terrifier 3 got a wide release, wide U.S. release, wide international release. Toxic Avenger, we know it's getting a wide U.S. release. I'm not sure what the international aspect is going to look like as far as how that goes, but again, I think that window is there. If you want gore horror, I think now's the time to push it out there, unrated. Throw Terrifier 3 had a $2 million budget, and I think it made like $98 million. And that was with the re-release that they did for like a week or two. So I think you could throw $2 to $5 million behind a project like this and easily come out way ahead, because I think the want is there. It's just no studio is putting out that type of content. So more to come on this one once we do know more. I think it's going to be a minute. Rumor has it production is already completed on this film. I mean, this casting was provided like a week ago, and I think it was just announced either yesterday or today that they had wrapped production. So if that's the case, then they've really kept a lot of this under wraps as far as casting and where the project stands right now, because I can't imagine you would announce casting a week ago only to turn around a week later and say, hey, we've already finished the film. I just can't imagine that. So all right, moving along here to our next story, and this is one I've stood on my soapbox on this one for a minute, right? when it comes to this whole Buffy reboot, and still nobody seems to be recognizing the fact. I mean, so many people are so excited that Sarah Michelle Gellar is coming back. I mean, when it was announced and she changed her mind that she was going to do it, it got announced. It was saying that she was starring in it. 2 days later, that starring turned into guest appearing or guest starring, which we know what that means. They started announcing casting, who the new Buffy is going to be. So here you have now the latest Buffy Reboot's new Slayer just found her love interest. So I know there's a lot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer fans out there. So of course I'm going to cover it, even though I'm not necessarily a fan of it. It's horror content. Again, just because I don't necessarily like it, don't necessarily get into this, I never got into the TV series, doesn't mean many of you don't like it. I'm sure there's many of you who are fans of the original series and are looking forward to seeing what this is going to look like. So let's get into it. The Buffyverse is officially coming back to life. Hulu's Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot is moving full steam ahead as another casting announcement has just dropped. This new chapter will see Buffy Summers pass the baton, or now stake, to a fresh Slayer, Nova, to be played by Firestarter star Ryan Kira Armstrong. Like Buffy before her, Nova will juggle slaying the undead with the far scarier world of teenage crushes. And now we know who her first love interest will be. According to Deadline, Kingston Verness has joined the cast in a guest role. It's always a guest role now, with the possibility of becoming a series regular if the show gets the green light. He joins a growing roster of allies, Nova's very own Scooby Gang, revealed just last week. I would be surprised if this doesn't get fully greenlit, at least for one season or a limited series run. I mean, the fact that they went through all of this effort to get Sarah Michelle Gellar to sign back on, to even be involved, and now just appear on camera, and I believe she's also an executive producer for this. I would be surprised if it doesn't get greenlit. And if it does, maybe it's just a one and done season, a limited series. But I think they've gone down, they're too far down the rabbit hole at this point to pull the plug. While the mission remains the same, our new Slayer will bring her own unique twist to the role. In contrast with Buffy's more extroverted disposition, Nova has been described as introverted and reserved, which suggests she's not exactly the type to wear her heart on her sleeve. She will secretly nurse a crush on Verness Carson's new Sunnydale Academy's charming and popular jock, who is a junior Olympian. Given that profile, Carsons will typically be too busy hitting on other fellow popular girls that he'd barely have the time to notice her, but as Carson's character details tease, their worlds will eventually collide after a life-changing experience, which we can imagine will potentially light the spark for a slow burn romance. I mean, I don't know how. I mean, he's only guest starring. I mean, if he's supposed to be this popular jock in school, why would you only have him guest starring? You think he'd be everywhere and all about the school? Because everyone's going to want to be around him. So that's, I don't know. I find that kind of conflicting and kind of like contradicting. So Verness previously appeared in the sports thriller The Survivor and the Netflix feature Mank. I don't even know what that is. Who else has joined the Buffy reboot? We've talked about this as far as other casting, and we are not going through this casting, and we've covered this over and over again. So you can either check out those other videos, or I'll put the link for this article in the description of this video, and you can read through who else has joined the casting. But we've covered this already. This again, okay, so even here, plot details still under lock and key. We know that. However, with Sarah Michelle Gellar set to return to reprise Buffy Summers, she likely will be getting all the guidance she needs from her predecessor. Gellar is also involved in the reboot as an executive producer, and that's pretty much, I think, it for this article. Yeah, so it doesn't. And I find this interesting now that no article since those original two where it said she was returning to star in this, then it was said she's just guest starring it. Since those two articles and since we did those two videos, nothing else has been mentioned about her true role in this. As far as, they don't have a problem mentioning she's executive producer, but nothing to the extent of exactly how much of Buffy Summers is now truly going to be in the show. Which again, I see it as the latter. She's guest starring. Nova will come across her, ask for help. She'll pop up for a few minutes here and there, very much like her character, Sarah Michelle Gellar's character, did in Dexter Original Sin, right? Just a guest star. showed up in some episodes here and there, and when she did, it was for 2 to 5 minutes tops. Nothing more than that, and she was gone. So I don't see her being around for this. I think people are going to have some false hopes. I think they've done a lot of hardcore fans a disservice by not really explaining what her true role in this is going to be. All right, so our last topic for this horror news update today is Topher Grace joins unique horror movie Buddy from Too Many Cooks director. So yeah, Topher Grace. I mean, he hasn't really been in much all that. He hasn't really been in a whole lot, let alone horror stuff. Now, I will say, as it mentions here, Predators. I, for one, enjoyed Predators. I liked it. It was a nice change as far as for the Predators franchise. I know it didn't hit with a lot of people, but for me, it did. So actor Topher has officially joined Buddy, a unique horror movie from Too Many Cooks and Adult Swim Yule Log director Casper Kelly. Grace joins previously announced Emmy-nominated actor Kristen. You may know her. She starred in The Penguin. Not horror, but still, it was a great series. I know there has been rumors, people going back and forth, say, will there be a season 2 of that? I don't think there will be. If they were going to do a season 2 for that, they would have already announced it. But she was absolutely stellar in that series. Naturally, plot details are being kept under wraps at this time, but it's described as a new experience in horror. Kelly co-wrote the script with Jamie King, who previously worked on the Disney Plus family movie World's Best. Considering Kelly's attachment, it feels safe to assume that Buddy will live up to its unique descriptor. Topher Grace is best known as a squeaky clean lead in the sitcom That 70s Show and as Eddie Brock in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3, but most recently appeared in episodes of The Twilight Zone. You all know how I feel about The Twilight Zone. If you want to watch The Twilight Zone, watch the original Twilight Zone. Don't fall victim to all these attempts to keep redoing The Twilight Zone. Nothing will ever top the original series of The Twilight Zone. Go watch that. I think they did 4 or 5 seasons of the original Twilight Zone, all done in black and white. Nothing will ever top that. So they need to stop attempting to redo the Twilight Zone. And Love, Death, and Robots. Most recently, the actor appeared in a brief cameo capacity in A24's Heretic. In addition to the mind-bending Adult Swim short Too Many Cooks and increasingly Wild Yule Log and its sequel, Kelly also contributed the unforgettable Cheddar Goblin commercial inserted in Panos Cosmos' Mandy. Let's see here. Nothing else really to talk about on this particular film. Let's keep going. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I mean, Topher Grace, I mean, again, not been a whole lot. So maybe hopefully he can bring something new. I mean, I think he's primarily obviously known for that 70s show. And if you don't know why he stepped away from that 70s show, he stepped away because of Spider-Man 3. That's why he left that 70s show to go do Spider-Man 3. And that's why then when he came back, he only came back, I think, like once or twice as just a very small cameo. And I know he showed up in the very last episode of that series within the last 2 or 3 minutes and had a brief interaction with Donna. But outside of that, that's why he left the show. And that's what, again, people primarily know him for. I mean, I think when people saw Predators, it took them a minute to realize that that's who it was. That it was Topher Grace, and that it was the same actor from that 70s show. So anyways, that's going to do it for this horror news update. Again, we are getting The Medium, which is going to be based off a horror video game. We're getting Crossed, an adaptation of one of the goriest, horrific, horror-driven comic books. Buffy Reboot information, casting for Nova's love interest in the reboot, and here Topher Grace joins the casting for Buddy. Hopefully this will be a unique horror film. I like the unique ones. I like the ones that don't really follow suit, so we'll see what comes. Anyways, drop a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you think about each one of these stories, what you're interested in, what you're not interested in. Also, if you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, we'll see you at the next one. Later.